everyone. Welcome back to another Quick Clips. So for this week, I wanted to show you a method that I use when I've got like real young kids. So we're talking like kindy level kids. And just like one of the methods that I use to help them read music, or like a foundation so that when reading music becomes something that is easier for them to grasp, they have like a really good base to go off of, right? And you know, I'm sure a lot of you have your own methods on how you do this. So if this is something that you can use to combine with something you do, that's awesome. If this is an idea that you think, oh, like, you know, this type of kid, this would work great with, when this type of kid, my idea would work great, whatever, right? There's a way to combine the different ideas. So this idea is kind of cymbals based and not drum cymbals. It's C-Y-S-Y. So cymbals based. And there's a few key things that I think are really important when you're kind of starting off with reading rhythms and using cymbals. So I think the best way to kind of discuss that is to show you on the whiteboard app. So I'll meet you there. So one of the things that I think is really important when using the cymbals is to make them as unique as possible from each other, but to also have them kind of reflect what the real note value is that it is trying to represent, right? So the options that I usually go with is I try to first establish 3 different speeds, right? Or 3 different kind of tempo, or not tempo, but surface rhythms. So I like to kind of have a cymbal equivalent for quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. And the main thing that I'm really trying to do is show that when we have a quarter note, we have 1 cymbal. When we have eighth notes, we have 2 cymbals. And when we have 16th notes, we have 4. So I like to start with something that I think, just like association with the brain. When we think slow and clunky, I often think of a square. So I usually draw 1 square. And when we see 1 square, the way that I kind of communicate that to the kids is that's our slow speed. When we see that square, it's very bah, bah, bah. But to us, that's a quarter note, right? And then something that has less corners, feels a little bit, you know, it just feels faster. I don't know why, is the triangle. But the key here is making sure that there are 2 triangles, not just 1. So now they can kind of see and feel that picking up pace. Bump, 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 bump. And then the last thing I do, or the third thing I do, I should say, is the kind of equivalent of 16th notes, where we want something that looks quick, and there's 4 of them to represent 16th notes. So I use a blue circle. So don't ask me why I chose these colors, honestly. I think the colors are completely just random, but I seem to stick with them. So when we do something that's slow, we use our red square. When we do something that's medium, we use our 2 green triangles. And when we do something that's fast, we use our 4 blue circles. The other thing that I think is really important is to also talk about rests with our students, and to make sure that I just don't think that rests should be something that's on the back burner when we're learning music. I think it's something that we should be learning right from the beginning. So for that, I draw a star, just because it's kind of funky and it's got a lot of movement to it, just like a quarter rest might have. And then what I like to do is, because these are already in their packages, they're already like beats, it's really easy for the kids to combine them in different ways. But when we're working on something, if they're like really young, then I'll do like every time we do it, we're going to do it 4 times, right? So 4 of those, 4 of those, 4 of those, to kind of like get used to playing something in a phrase. But like I said, you can combine them in all different types of ways. Now, the other really great thing about this, because there's like the groupings are the same as what the notes are, when they start to get a bit older and like you feel that they're ready to totally comprehend what's happening, all they really have to do is add the stems to what's already there, right? And now it's already looking like music notes. And it'll be much easier for them to understand how it fits in with real music notes, and how the association is actually quite easy, right? It's quite an easy transition from these symbols to full-on notes. So that's kind of like, that's just how I teach music reading rhythms to really young kids. And you might be asking, well, why not just start right with the notes? And I just think the colors and the image of the symbols helps represent what they are more than just a bunch of black dots. And that's why I do it. I find that using these symbols is a really great way to kind of like almost get ahead in the music education, like get ahead in songwriting. Like now they can write songs because they have symbols that make sense to them and work for them, as opposed to, well, they don't quite understand theory, so we can't really get to that next step yet. We got to do step 1 before we get to step 2. But this way, it makes step 1 really fun and easy, and we can get to step 2 sooner, which will then motivate them more to learn. They're more excited about it, and then eventually we can turn those symbols into real musical notes, and they haven't missed a step, really. They've just kind of gotten to the fun stuff faster, right? Which when we're teaching young kids is often really important to keep them engaged. Let's get to that fun stuff as quickly as we can, get them hooked, and then we'll start to teach them the theory as we go along. So there you go, another quick clip on symbols for beginners. If you're in a kindergarten class, that's going to be a really fun activity to do, regardless if you're a music teacher, right? Just something fun and to get them kind of to write some songs. So there you go. Alrighty, I will see you next week with another quick clip. Bye, everyone.